Okay. Well, I was born in a very small town in the southernmost tip of Virginia, a little town called Danville, Virginia, about 45 minutes away from Greensboro, North Carolina, which is currently where I reside. Dad was blue collar, pull himself up by the bootstraps type of guy, founded his own company, was successful. Mom helped him with that, and they were kind of a team, working together. So I kind of grew up in that environment of, being, trying to be successful, being productive in whatever you do. Dad, had a conversion, was a hellion at an early age, and met my mom, had a conversion to faith, and they just raised me with what they knew. They didn't have any deep theology. They just knew that Jesus was God, and He died on the cross for our sin. And if we follow Him and we trust Him, then we know Him. So 2004, I graduated college with an undergrad degree. So I was fresh out of school, running the business. My mom had cancer. My dad was a complete wreck, and it was just hell. She actually passed in January of 2005, which actually was in February of 2005. And still doing the same thing that I was doing, running the business. Dad's a wreck, emotionally, things like that. Really just a series of events as a result of that. Not being in a community of faith, not hearing the gospel on a regular basis from my close friends and people that I were associating with for the past 5 years, took its toll, and it was a downward spiral pretty quick. At the time I was courting, at the time I was dating my now wife, we're trying to marry her during this time, and God was definitely present, but the clouds were so thick for depression and darkness and despair. It was very much like the psalmist's lament, and the fact that that his soul is wasting away, and all the things that you see in the psalm. I remember specifically, it was probably a year into our marriage, my wife and I, and I had got done reading this book by a guy named Philip Yancey called Where is God When It Hurts? Just getting to the end of that book and just weeping. I just shut the book and I just wept. The thing that really brought me out of it was seeing what God does with weakness. And weakness, human weakness, is the means by which God works through people. I was just talking with a good friend recently, and he said that most everybody he knows wants to have Christ-empowered, Spirit-empowered Christian living, but most everyone is not interested in embracing weakness in order to get it. You get into the whole point of, well, why in the world did you stay in the local church? Why did you stay in, and why did you keep coming around these people if you didn't believe any of it, or if you struggled and wrestled with it when everybody else seemed so content? And I guess the answer to that is that it's like going to the grocery store, and that you buy food that you're going to get and nourish your body and feed your family with, and then you get to the checkout line and the clerk just kind of stiff arms you, or says maybe says something you don't like. You don't necessarily not return to the grocery store just because somebody has offended you or somebody has ripped you off or whatever. You go there because that's where the food is. That's where you're ultimately going to have to survive for the next week to feed your family with. And so that's kind of how I approach the local church, with all of its flaws and just all the stuff that is the local church. I still saw it as the means by which God works in the world and to spread His gospel and His good news to all nations. It's grace. God has been pleased to do this. And it's to be continued. It's obviously not over, and we're still just getting started.